All right, joining us now, one of those 25 governors supporting the president, even offering to drive razor wire, which Governor Abbott continues to put up. He'll be on Hannity tonight at 9, but offered to drive down razor wire herself. I believe you were down there. What day were you down there last week or this weekend?
I was down there on Friday, so just a couple of days ago. It was actually the day that the federal government said they were going to come in and force Texas to take down the razor wire that they had installed. It was actually working, so I wanted to see with my own eyes exactly what the situation was, how it had changed in the last several months, and what was Texas going to be asking our state for help with. Well,
and I got to give credit to every Republican governor. Am I wrong? Was it not you that said that you would drive razor wire down there yourself?
It was absolutely. You know, as soon as we heard the decision come out of the Supreme Court, I knew it was a threat to our state sovereignty and our right to defend ourselves and our people in our states and us as commanders in chief of our National Guards here in South Dakota. So I told Governor Abbott I was all in. I'd bring him more razor wire if he needed it. I have extra. And that we would certainly help him defend his state because we see the effects of that open border every day here in South Dakota. We've got 9 tribal reservations where I have no jurisdiction, and these cartels are set up on our tribal reservations in our state, funneling drugs and human trafficking through there right here within our own state borders. So we see it and deal with it every single day, and continuing to allow this to happen in our country is insane.
I watched on CNN, you were questioned, are you worried about the potential for violence? Well, the only one that's created a showdown here for the very cause of being able to cut down the razor wire that Texas put up, the person that precipitated the showdown with a deadline as of Friday was Joe Biden. So, no, nobody wants violence down there. And I know law enforcement, they don't want to be against each other, confronting each other over this. And I don't think they're going to do it.
No, I don't think they're going to either. And if you talk to, Border Patrol down there and folks that work for these federal agencies, they hate their jobs right now. I mean, they hate what their president is doing and their boss, and they don't support these policies either. So I think that is what is so unbelievable to me is that Joe Biden continues to break federal law and do it to the destruction of our country, is that the Democrats throughout the state that are normal, everyday citizens living in these communities, they don't want it. They've got Democratic mayors that are protesting this migrant invasion that they're dealing with. You know, they've got their own people that work and enforce these laws or want to enforce the laws at the border don't support them. So it's crazy to me that Joe Biden doesn't realize this is the number one issue in 2024 with the population of the United States of America, and he's running to get reelected, and that he doesn't address it and fix it.
You know, there's and I went through the relevant U.S. laws that are applicable here, and there are many. If anybody listening to this program, or you yourself, Governor, or if I did it, if you were to smuggle in or allow in people that are not lawfully allowed into this country, if you were to conceal them, harbor them, if you were to provide domestic transportation for them, you know, there's at least, 10 laws on the books that I can cite that Joe Biden is breaking here. Now, a lot of people have been somewhat critical over the impeachment process over Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Ultimately, I think the buck stops with Joe Biden on this. These are his border policies. He made these direct actions. He was the one that undid, every single policy of Donald Trump that was working. So I blame him, and he's allowed it to happen. And for 3 years, they pretty much have just lied to us, telling us the border's closed and the border's secure. It never has been.
No, that's exactly right. And it's not that he's just not enforcing federal law. It's that he's knowingly violating federal law. There is a federal statute that mandates the detention of these illegal immigrants, and he is allowing people just to pass through the border en masse into the United States under parole statutes. That is a complete violation of what is on the books. So when Congress talks about passing more and more laws, they don't have to pass more laws. They need a president who cares about the law that we have today and enforces it and doesn't violate it himself.
So I'm not really sure what the strategy is. The House Republicans passed a very strong bill to secure the border, H.R. 1 in the Senate. I'm not sure why, although I guess Oklahoma Senator Langford denies it. But all these reports out there that this bipartisan bill, which would supposedly secure the border, if Biden, by the way, would even keep his word or enforce this. But there are going to be people up to 5,000 a day, according to one report. That is being denied by Senator Langford. But I got to tell you something. How about the answer has to be nobody gets to enter this country illegally. Everybody needs to be vetted for radical associations. Everybody needs a health check, and everybody needs to be able to prove that they're not going to be a financial burden on the American people. Then, once you go through that process legally, I don't care where you come from, welcome to America. But short of that, no, we should not tolerate open borders that Joe Biden. Now we're going on 10 million illegal immigrants since he's been president.
Yeah, what that bill would have done would have essentially codified illegal immigration, would have made it a law in this country that you can break our immigration laws to a certain cap of number per week, 5,000 people per week. And then after that, well, then we're going to enforce the federal law. I've never seen anything written so ridiculous in my entire life. In fact, I'm going to have a joint session. I'm calling my legislature for a joint session on Wednesday. Well, I will give them the facts of the situation at the border and ask them to consider South Dakota resources to be all in on defending our state's rights, but also protecting our country. Because when you have a federal government that is proposing bills like that, when you have a president in the White House that is taking the actions that he's taking, we can't rely on anybody else to defend our country. We as states need to be strong and be united in saying this is an issue, this is a problem, and we're prepared to take action.
All right, quick break. We'll have more with Governor Noem on the other side. All right, we continue now with South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem is with us. Yeah, what do you think of this push by Democrats to get Biden to federalize the National Guard, which I can't think of a time that's happened. I'm sure it probably has, but I can't think of a time.
Well, that's the part that alarmed me so much was I saw Democrats on the national news calling on President Biden to, under Title X, federally activate our National Guard soldiers. And I went to the border the next morning to find out if in reality that was going to be true, what that would look like. And Sean, it would be the first time, unprecedented that I know of, that a president activated soldiers to not protect America, to stand down and to allow an invasion. So that's the Democrat Party today, is that they would like to pay our soldiers and take away my duty as commander-in-chief of my South Dakota National Guard and pay those soldiers and force them to stand down and not protect their country. That is a party that wants to destroy the freedoms and liberties that we've all had the chance to enjoy.
I just think America needs to know the facts as I laid them out earlier in this program. I won't go through them all with you, but all of the moves that Joe Biden has made, including taking Texas to the U.S. Supreme Court in the first place for the right to cut down the razor wire. But he dismantled every single policy that was working. And now for them to try to blame the legislature, he did all of that independently, free of the legislative branch. He did it all on his own. And yet Trump had in place, and he can re-implement the policies in the Trump case. And they don't need, again, as I said, assistance from the House. I don't think that he's going to win this lie against Donald Trump that he's trying to perpetuate here.
No, I think that's exactly true. And why they sued Texas was because Texas had figured out a way to install razor wire that it actually was working. It was impenetrable. They said not even the able-bodied military-aged men could get around how they elevated this concertina wire and attached it to panels and did an overhang on top of shipping containers. And it was working amazingly. And that's when the federal government decided to come after them. That's when they went to court to force them to take it down, is because they had actually found a solution that was a wall that was working that no one could get through. And that's what is so alarming to those that are down there. If you're in Shelby Park today, it is only Texas. Texas took back their ground. They took back the United States of America territory and said illegal immigrants don't have any right to be here. This is American soil. And I'm so proud of them for doing it and for coming up with solutions that actually worked. And if we just had Texas along our whole southern border, we'd be doing a lot better than we are today with Joe Biden in the White House and in charge. Well,
I got to tell you, it is not insignificant that you and every Republican governor has offered, all the support you've been offering. That certainly strengthens Governor Abbott's hands, and it ties Joe Biden's hands up. the guy that, frankly has sucked up to Iran, finally resulting after nearly 200 attacks against our soldiers. The inevitable happens. 3 are killed, 30 some odd others are injured. And Joe Biden acts like his policies are not related to it. And they know, he said 2 weeks ago, they know they're not supposed to engage with us. They know better. I'm like, no, they don't, Joe, because they've been attacking our troops forever. Anyway.
Attacking them with no consequences, and not even strong language and diplomatic relations. We have been a limp, wet noodle on the world stage, and we are paying the price for it now in the dear, precious blood of our men and women who step up to protect us. And that is what this President Biden, has ushered in as a future for America if we don't wake up and get rid of him as soon as possible.
Well said. Governor Noem, glad you're out there. Glad all the Republican governors are standing together strong. I think it's very, very important. We appreciate you being with us.
You bet. Have a wonderful day.